Today, News 24 broke the story of how the Hawks raided my residence with an affidavit for crimes against the state, i.e. terrorism, because Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu didn't like a satirical video that I posted to my social media. So to be clear, Senzo Mchunu set the Hawks on me, the highest police force in the country whose job it is to deal with serious organized crime, raided my home and confiscated my cell phone in an expensive and intimidatory exercise. They triangulated my location with data from cell phone masts, which is A, very expensive, you paid for it, B, normally only used for murderers and the like, and C, completely unnecessary, because if they wanted to know where I was, they could have simply just reached out to me. They had a seize warrant for my phone and they confiscated it for 2 weeks. Why did they need my phone? And why did they need to send police vans and policemen, plural, a lot of them, to my residence in full view of my neighbors to come and get a cell phone from me? This was an expensive and an intimidatory exercise by our Minister of Police and a serious abuse of power. This is the type of intimidation that occurs in authoritarian states. I've been sitting on this for over 2 months, unable to talk about it, and today we are letting the dogs out. On the 29th of March this year, I released a satirical video in which I play a recurring character, a Czech criminal. My accent is poor, but that makes the humor more funny because it's so outlandish. And I began the video by saying, I'm involved in cash in transit, drugs, as well as hijacking. That, however, didn't seem to bother Senzo Mchunu, who somehow apparently took the video at face value. So he didn't have an issue with me saying that I was a criminal, but what he took offense to was the fact that my character said I had bribed Mchunu with 3 sex workers and a BMW for him to investigate General Nhlanhla Mkhonazi, the top cop of KZN. I posted the video in response to reports that Mchunu had instructed IPID to investigate Mkhonazi. Subsequently, IPID came out and said, oh, there was an error and actually it wasn't Mchunu and it was an anonymous source that wanted Mkhonazi to be investigated. So if you want to believe that, you can. More importantly, I said that I convinced Mchunu to investigate Mkhonazi because after Mkhonazi had come for the criminals, he was going to come for the corrupt politicians, including Mchunu. Which is exactly what he did over 3 months later on the 6th of July, where he had a press conference in which he alleged that Senzo Mchunu was interfering in police matters, which is something that I have experienced and can testify to firsthand. Senzo Mchunu is supposed to be investigated by the Matlanga Commission. He doesn't need to be because we know he is guilty of interfering in police matters. He admitted to journalist Karen Moore that he had set the Hawks on me. When I was in the presence of the Hawks official, he told me and my legal counsel that this was because Senzo Mchunu was upset and insulted by me and he couldn't let this slide. This is an egregious abuse of power and state resources, which probably cost hundreds of thousands of rands between housing the Hawks officials from Pretoria, flying them back and forth, using the triangulation of the mass. It cost us a fortune. Guys, in South Africa right now, our GBV rates are through the roof. Our women and children are being killed in their droves. The Cape Flats is a war zone. There are frequently mass killings happening in townships. There are tavern shootings. And yet, our Minister of Police chose to use our state resources and the Hawks to intimidate and try to scare an Instagram and TikTok comedian because he didn't like a satirical video that I made. So guys, I think you should share this video. And I think you should share the offending video that started this all off, which I've pinned on my profile, because we cannot go down the road of an authoritarian state which disallows satire. Preventing us from making jokes is the most un-South African thing you can do. In previous videos, I've said far worse things about John Steenhuisen, Helen Zille, Cyril Ramaphosa, and in particular, Julius Malema, and they were fine. They understood that satire is a critical aspect of a functioning society. So to those politicians who took my humor in the tone it was intended, I ask you in particular to stand up and get this guy out. My legal team will be pursuing this further. But public figures, politicians, and members of the public like you who paid for this whole thing are critical in getting Mchunu out and getting this to the desk of the public protector. In this country, guys, we have freedom of speech and we have the right to make jokes. And nobody, Senzo Mchunu included, is going to take that away from us.